The chilling narrative of Stanley Kubrick's psychological horror masterpiece begins with an aerial sequence that establishes a profound sense of isolation and impending doom. As the camera glides effortlessly over the shimmering, mirrored surface of St. Mary Lake and deep into the towering peaks of Glacier National Park, a lone Volkswagen Beetle navigates a winding mountain highway like a solitary insect trapped in a massive, indifferent wilderness. This visual journey up to the remote Overlook Hotel is underscored by the haunting, ominous synthesizers of Hector Berlioz's funeral march, instantly signaling to the audience that this family is descending into an inescapable labyrinth of madness. By contrasting the majestic beauty of the natural landscape with a suffocating undercurrent of dread, this opening sequence perfectly sets the stage for a tragic descent into domestic terror and supernatural decay. The Shining remains a towering masterpiece of modern cinema because it completely subverts traditional horror tropes in favor of timeless psychological anxiety. While conventional scary movies rely on dark shadows and cheap jump scares, director Stanley Kubrick floods the Overlook Hotel with bright, oppressive fluorescent lighting. This artistic choice forces the audience to confront the unfolding madness with absolute clarity, leaving nowhere for the eyes to hide. The terror does not stem from creatures jumping out of closets, but rather from the slow, inevitable disintegration of a man's sanity and the vulnerability of the family trapped with him. The film's technical execution continues to set a gold standard for filmmakers and remains visually breathtaking decades after its release. Kubrick's pioneering use of the Steadicam creates a fluid, gliding perspective that transforms the hotel itself into a living, predatory entity. As the camera follows young Danny's tricycle through the endless, labyrinthine corridors, viewers experience an immersive, claustrophobic dread. Every frame is meticulously composed with unsettling symmetry and shifting geography, intentionally confusing the audience's spatial awareness to mirror the character's internal psychological unraveling. Beneath its supernatural exterior, the narrative functions as a deeply disturbing commentary on real-world horrors that remain universally relevant. The film is a raw exploration of domestic abuse, alcoholism, systemic cycle of violence, and the claustrophobic pressures of isolation. Jack Torrance's transformation into a homicidal threat is terrifying precisely because it reflects genuine, real-life anxieties regarding the destruction of the nuclear family. The ghosts of the hotel merely act as catalysts, amplifying the pre-existing flaws, resentments, and dark impulses already lurking within the human protagonist. Finally, The Shining holds up today because it refuses to give the audience easy answers or narrative closure. The film is intentionally packed with ambiguous details, subliminal imagery, and historical subtexts, ranging from the displacement of Native Americans to the nature of the hotel's timeline, that demand repeat viewings. Its infamous, enigmatic final photograph ensures that the mystery is never truly solved. By leaving the ultimate nature of the haunting open to interpretation, the movie continues to fuel endless debate, staying alive and deeply unsettling in the cultural psyche. The Shining deserves the title of the greatest horror movie ever made because it completely reinvents how cinema uses physical space to generate terror. Stanley Kubrick constructed the Overlook Hotel as a psychological maze, deliberately incorporating architectural impossibilities, such as doors that lead nowhere and windows that open into impossible spaces, to subtly dismantle the viewer's sense of reality. Unlike standard horror films that rely on claustrophobic darkness, Kubrick floods his frames with bright, sterile light, proving that true terror does not need to hide in the shadows. The hotel becomes a living, malevolent antagonist, trapping the audience inside a waking nightmare where every hallway feels infinitely long and deeply wrong. From a filmmaking standpoint, the movie is a flawless technical achievement that fundamentally altered the language of cinema. It served as the ultimate proving ground for the newly invented Steadicam, using fluid, low-angle tracking shots to glide behind Danny's tricycle. This groundbreaking camera movement creates an unparalleled sense of momentum and inescapable pursuit, making the audience feel like an invisible ghost haunting the family's footsteps. Coupled with a jarring, avant-garde soundtrack by composers like Krzysztof Penderecki, the technical execution builds a relentlessly oppressive atmosphere that modern horror movies still try, and fail, to replicate. The film features some of the most visceral, unhinged, and iconic performances in the history of the genre, anchored by Jack Nicholson's legendary descent into madness. Nicholson's portrayal of Jack Torrance is a masterclass in escalating hostility. His manic energy and terrifying facial expressions turn simple dialogue into moments of pure dread. Conversely, Shelley Duvall provides the perfect, agonizing counterweight as Wendy, delivering a raw, deeply sympathetic portrayal of a mother in a state of absolute, hyperventilating survival terror. The on-screen chemistry between their contrasting energies elevates the film from a simple monster movie into a devastatingly realistic depiction of domestic terror. What elevates The Shining above all other horror films is that its supernatural elements serve as a chilling metaphor for genuine, real-world tragedies. The true horror stems from the terrifying realization that the ultimate threat is not a demon or a masked killer, but the person who is supposed to love and protect you the most. By anchoring its supernatural hauntings in the universal, lived fears of isolation and familial betrayal, the film achieves a permanent, deeply unsettling resonance. Finally, The Shining claims the top spot because it is an inexhaustible cultural artifact that grows more compelling with every viewing. Kubrick packed the film with subliminal imagery, historical subtext, and narrative ambiguities, culminating in the haunting, unexplained final photograph from 1921 that refused to grant the audience closure. It is a movie that defies a single interpretation, spawning entire documentaries dedicated solely to decoding its hidden meanings. Decades after its release, it remains the ultimate horror film because it never leaves the human psyche. It stays alive, constantly debated, and infinitely terrifying. Ultimately, The Shining stands as the pinnacle of the horror genre because it achieves a flawless equilibrium between technical perfection and primal, psychological dread. Stanley Kubrick's meticulous direction transformed a simple haunted house story into a profound exploration of human vulnerability, utilizing revolutionary filmmaking techniques to lock the audience into a state of perpetual unease. By shifting the focus of terror away from standard cinematic monsters and placing it squarely on the fragile nature of sanity and the devastating breakdown of the family unit, the film taps into a universal, timeless fear that resonates across generations. Its enduring legacy lies in its refusal to be easily solved or forgotten, maintaining a hypnotic grip on popular culture decades after its initial release. The film transcends the boundaries of traditional horror by operating as both a visceral cinematic nightmare and a complex, layered puzzle that rewards endless analysis.